Seesar Gear. Today we're talking about pot lids. Woohoo! And you might think, what the hell, why would you be talking about pot lids? The kitchen items that you can use to make cool sound design and interesting noises to inject into your dark ambient soundscapes, etc., is pretty endless, and it is free and it's available in your bloody kitchen. So it's a tip that I think most people know, but most people don't remember. I don't see people playing pot lids as often as I think I should. So I decided, why not do a video about pot lids? And I do use them. I use them a lot, actually. I use all kinds of different things from the kitchen, and we'll go through different bits of that when as I go through this series. And we're starting with the pot lids. So the most common thing to do with a pot lid is to strike it with a stick, and you get a sharp sound. It's a pretty loud sound with a hard object, a wooden drumstick, for example. It's got a nice long sustain. It's got a nice sharp attack. It's got a high end frequency, even with a pretty much any. Ooh, that's actually lower. Interesting. But it's still got the same sort of attack, same sort of volume. It's the go-to, right? If you use the softer end of a mallet, you're going to get a more gong type sound. And I don't know that you'll be able to pick this up on the camera, but it does have a shimmering, it does have a wavering, because you're initiating the strike from one side of this circular device, and it travels across and creates a constructive and deconstructive interference is what I should say, so that you get waves working with and against each other until it decays. The same with this one. It won't be as loud probably with this one. Not bad. I want to point out something that also may be obvious, but I'm going to say it anyway. Pot lids that have a center point for the attachment of the handle that you'll be using to hold it while you play it is preferable to one that has 2 points or 3 points, and or one that detaches. Now this one detaches, but it's pretty solidly glued on the top, I think, as well. It's got a suction cup or something. So a solid attachment in the center is going to give you a better sound. The reason for that is physics. It's just giving you a node in the middle so the rest of it can resonate. But that doesn't mean that the other ones won't work or don't play properly. I've certainly used things like barbecue grill lids that have a dual point of contact for the handle, and they just happen to be big enough that it doesn't matter if it's got 1 point or 2 points of contact, that you can still get a nice tone out of. As a matter of fact, some of my early pieces have a barbecue grill lid that I wish I still had. It's probably in the UK somewhere in storage, and it made just a massive gong sound, and then I could record it, slow it down, I could put effects on it, that kind of thing, or put a pickup on it. There was enough contact with the handle that I could put a pickup on it and play it live, and it would also work wonders for creating interesting sounds. Another thing that you can do with pot lids is scrape them together. Now this is something that I do with Tibetan Romo cymbals, and it works just great with any two concave pieces of metal, and that's what our pot lids are basically. So if you scrape them, you can get different timbres by altering the angle at which they're making contact, and the speed and things like that. You have lots and lots of options for making cool sounds. So here we go. Whoops. There's lots of things you can do. There you go. Scraping them together is often an interesting way of injecting some noisy bits. It doesn't have to be long either. You can scrape and let them ring. You know, that's another option. And again, keep in mind that this is all acoustic, so you can record it and manipulate it as well. And that's often what I do. All right, third option, bowing. Now, when you bow assemble, you want to bow along the edge. I guess that's obvious, but you want an angle that's going to give you a sharp resonance with the edge. So you can bow kind of straight across, and you'll get one kind of a tone, but usually a slight angle with some extra pressure gives you something a bit more interesting. Different lids obviously do different things. I seem to remember that lid sounding a little better than this one, but let's find out. So, you know, it might be useful to have different pod lids for different textures for that, but it's an option, and it's a good option. It's a go-to. Putting something inside your pod lid, and I didn't bring one. I'm gonna get one. I did bring one. It just rolled off the table. I'm going to use this little golf ball. You can use a marble. You can use anything that rolls. You could even use a Hot Wheels car or something like that. And if it has a lip on it, you can get good constant tones that are useful for droning, useful for adding background textures, something you can control. You also have side-to-side movement that can give you less consistent sounds, more randomized sounds, and you can control the volume of it and the speed of it. Now, with the ones that don't have a lip, it's a bit more difficult, but you can still make good textures out of it. So let's try both of these. Not bad, not bad. And I don't know if you noticed, but what I was doing there at the end was I was moving my left hand and trying to keep the ball where I wanted it on the inside of the lid. So kind of like a balancing act, like a juggling trick. I don't know how this is going to work, but let's try it. A much more subtle sound, and it's using the bumps of the golf ball to give you some nice little bits of texture. It'd be probably great if you put a pickup on it. It's a very interesting sound. I hope that came through on the camera. Singing bowl trick, the singing bowl trick. This is another one that I like a lot. If you're not familiar with playing a singing bowl, typically you'll strike it very lightly just to get the vibration started, and then you use the edge of your stick to drag it around the outside of the bowl, or in this case the pot lid, and get it to sustain. It's like bowing it, but instead of bowing it on the edge, you're effectively using a stick to bow along the curvature of the pot lid, and it works wonders. So let's give it a shot. Having 10 people do this, which I did one time with some of my students, is really fun. And I don't know if you noticed, I wasn't hitting it as hard as I did at the beginning of the video, where I was doing a strike with the, but it's you can still hear the contact. I literally just got it started vibrating, and then you're able to pick it up from there. It'll vibrate on its own once it's started. Also, you could tell when my hand wasn't consistent with going around in a circle, which is just natural for alien creatures that don't have consistent arm lengths, and humans. It bounces. You hear it buzzing every now and then because it actually bounces along the edge. But that's a bonus. You can actually use that to your advantage. There's also predictable points at which that happens, so you can incorporate that and make it rhythmic if you want to. Another thing that I do with this is I sometimes will rosin the stick. Now I wouldn't do it a lot because it's sticky, but it does actually give you more traction, shall we say, on the pot lid. A nice balance between a slightly, very, very, very slightly dusted rosin on the stick handle, to me, is a sweet spot I like. I don't think it's going to work on this one because I don't think this is big enough, but I'm going to try it for the camera, and we can all laugh at me together. I just immediately deadened it. Yeah, it's not going to catch. There's not enough surface area. Now, sometimes if you angle the stick so that you can make contact in multiple places, or on in a different amount of surface area touching the two different objects together, you can kind of pull it off. But this type of pot lid that has a curvature where you can actually get a good grip on it is the ideal situation for this one. So each pot lid has got something different to offer. And I don't know about you, I only have 3 or 4 pot lids. Glass ones can work as well, but typically only if they have a very small handle in the middle and they have a metallic frame that's going to allow them to resonate properly. Typically it's a metallic pot lid that works a little bit better or works best, and but free cool stuff in your kitchen. So there you have it. My top techniques for playing a pot lid in a dark, ambient, noisy context. And there you go. Let me know in the comments if you play any sort of kitchen stuff, what you do with your pot lids, which I'm sure I haven't hit everything by any means. These are just my go-tos. And if you haven't, Let us know if you're going to try it and see what you think, and come back and post about it and let us know how it works, and send us links to your music and all of that kind of stuff. Because this is, in fact, a community of noise-making people. That's the whole point of this channel, is sharing and getting this, communication and discussion started. So please jump in there and tell me about your pot lids. Woohoo, pot lids! There you go. Thank you very much. See you in the next video. Ugh.